Everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar today. My name is Jeannie Borum, and I'm part of the Signworld Corporate team, and I'll be moderating our session. For those of you who may not have participated in one of these prior and or seen a recording, I'll just give you a really quick overview of the format for today so you know what to expect. First off, we're going to have our owners introduce themselves and give an overview of who they are, where they're located, their background, and a little bit about their business. And then we're going to turn the floor over to our participants who have logged in to join for the session today and give you an opportunity to ask a single question in which each of the owners will give their own individual perspectives. We do ask you to keep it to a single question, allowing time for each participant to be able to ask one. And you'll often find that others attending might ask questions that are top of mind for you too. So just try to keep it simple and just one at a time. If time does permit, we will go around for a second round if possible. So with that said, let's turn the floor over to our owners to give an introduction of themselves. Kobe, can we go ahead and start with you?
Sure. Good afternoon. My name is Kobe Lesberg. The name of my company is Legendary Custom Signs and Graphics. We're located in Manassas, Virginia, which is in the far suburbs of the Washington, D.C. metro area. We will have completed 3 years in business as of this Friday. That'll be our anniversary. Our facility is about 2,700, a little over 2,700 square feet. In addition to me, I have 4 employees, and I'm about to make an offer to a 5th. Our 2022 sales projections are $750,000. If August and our September forecast has anything to do with that, I'm sure we're going to exceed that amount. Our biggest customer or project we've completed recently, we've got a bunch of big projects in work right now. Probably the biggest one we've completed this year was a large 20-foot wide panel of channel letters for Huntington Ingalls we hung on the top of a large office building in Fair Lakes, Virginia. But we did a homeowners association with 3 monument signs we completed recently, and we've got a lot of other things like that going on. My background is I spent 23 years in the Navy. I retired in 2009. I went to work as a government contractor and then partnered up and started a professional consulting firm with a partner of mine that we ran for about 4.5 years together until I decided I wanted to do something different besides government work. I left there, sold my stake, went to work for Oracle doing federal business development for about 2 years while I researched my next opportunity. And somewhere in there, I met Ken Kent. And so about 3 years ago, we started the sign business, and here we are.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kobe. Appreciate that. Larry, let's go to you next.
All right. Well, the name of my company is Signs and More, and we are located in Troy, Michigan, which is about 30 miles north of Detroit. I've been in business for 21 years. I own my own building. I've owned it for about 12 years now, and I am in 8,000 square feet. We will do $2 million this year. I have 14 employees. Largest project that we've done this year, we've done all the signage for a city, including the signs that you see as you enter the city, all of the parks and recreation areas. And that was about $140,000 for that particular job. And now I just picked up a job that we're probably going to be doing early next year for the Army, which is probably going to push $250,000. So that'll be a good one. I came out of retail. I worked for Kmart for 27 years. And when I left, I was the vice president of operations for the company.
Very good. Thank you for that, Larry. Appreciate it. Congrats on the Army order. That's exciting. So we don't have Steve online yet, our third current owner. So let's go ahead and introduce Jack. If you can go next, that'd be great.
I'm Jack Werner. I joined Signworld back in 1995 as an operation. Started in 1,100 square feet with 1 employee, ended up in 5,000 square feet, staff of 11, doing 1.3 million in sales. Back then, we were a little different. We were more retail, doing more local business, not the regional and national big projects. We didn't have digital printing, it was cut vinyl, and we didn't have the internet, it was yellow pages. So Signworld has emerged, changed a lot over those years. I sold my business after 10 years, Joined Ken, our founder, at the corporate office to learn his end of the business. And in 2014, finished buying him out, and I'm now the present owner of Signworld. So when I answer questions today, it goes to more of my experience running an operation. I'll speak from that perspective. If it goes more to training and policy, I'll speak from that perspective.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jack. And none of us would be here today without our founder, Ken. Ken, go. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jack.
Before Signworld, I ran a wholesale food distribution company. My largest customer was a regional developer for Subway that had 200 locations, and year after year, I did about 250,000 a year with that one customer.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Ken.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ken Kent. I'm the founder of Signworld almost 35 years ago, 34 years. In a couple months, it'll be 35 years. I started my sign company in Honolulu, Hawaii. I'm still here. My largest customer was Bank of Hawaii. They found me accidentally. And it turned into $1 million or more worth of business over time. I guess the biggest point that I would like to make, and people ask me the question all the time, why did I start a sign business rather than anything else? And I think the biggest thing was that it's a manufacturing business where you're making a product, putting your name on it. But it also takes very, very few employees per income. So in our business, the benchmark is you need one sign maker for every $50,000 of net personal income. So if you want to be back to your old corporate salary of 150, 200,000, you only need 3 or 4 employees. That's unheard of in most other businesses. And as everybody knows today, the choke point, the bottleneck is you can't find people. Well, if you have a business where you start out with just one employee, and then 6 or 9 months later, you add a second employee and very slowly build up to just a handful, a small team, makes life a lot easier, a lot easier. Jeannie?
Very good. Thank you, Ken. We now have our third current owner on the line with us today. Steve, go ahead and give an introduction to yourself, please. I do see you're still on mute, so if you can unmute yourself first.
Yeah, that probably helps a little bit, Debbie. Hi, my name is Steve Kapp. I am owner of Denver Signs and Graphics here in the South Denver metro area. Been an owner for going on 5 years now, and we have about 4,000 square feet that we occupy here. I have at the present time, I have 4 employees. I had 6, and 2 of them left, went to school, and another one decided to do something else. So we're restaffing a little bit to get back up to 6. What else did you guys want me to offer there?
Projected gross sales this year.
Projected is about 800,000. Last year we did 550.
And what's your background, Steve, before you joined Signworld?
I was IT director at Cisco Systems, and I was there for 18 years, and decided that they wanted to move us older guys out, so ended up looking around at various opportunities and decided on Signworld as the best opportunity out there.
You're not an older guy, Steve. Come on now. What's your biggest customer or biggest project you've had?
Biggest customer I have right now is a national customer with Mohawk Industries. They do with us probably this year they're going to exceed about 450,000 this year with us. So about half of our projected income.
That's fantastic. Great customer to have. Perfect. All right. Well, that's it for introductions. Now we're going to go ahead and turn the floor over to our participants. I'm going to call you each by name in order based on when you logged in. So just know that your time will be coming. When we do call your name, if you can take yourself off of mute, share where you're from, and give us one question. Just keep it simple to start. And as we said before, if time permits, we'll go around a second time. So with that said, I had David Johnston. If you can go ahead, take yourself off of mute, share where you're from, and go ahead with your first question for today.
Well, hey, everybody, this is David Johnston. I am in the Houston, Texas metro area. And I do appreciate, by the way, all the time that you give to these webinars. They're very useful for someone like me who's looking at a business. So thank you very much for that. One of the questions that comes to my mind was I see there's a bit of a variation in the age of the businesses and the duration that you've been in business. But I guess one of the things I'm looking at is a scalability of the business, right? So there's always that magic number of 1 million, I think everyone sort of looks at. But when you started the business, what was your expectation? What revenue goals were you trying to reach? And have you been able to keep that on track? And or have you had to adapt your business to kind of accommodate what you found or learned as you've worked your way through your business?
Great question. Kobe, you've been in business for 3 years. Have you achieved the revenue goals you set out for yourself, and how does your future look?
Yeah, I'd say we've exceeded our goals for 3 years. I mean, we've doubled in size every year for 3 years at least. And my 5-year vision is to be about 1.5 million. It's scalable. I think the key is making sure you're marketing properly. If you market, they will come. And so that's what I believe. And so, we're shooting for 750,000 this year, and I'm going to be shooting for 1 million in year 4 at least. So
Wonderful. Thank you, Kobe. Steve, your thoughts?
Well, the pandemic kind of set us back a little bit. But overall, we were able to maintain the business through that. So, a little bit delay in our schedule, but I would say we're hitting our revenue targets about where we wanted to be, albeit about a year behind schedule. So, next year we'll probably we'll hit that $1 million mark. We've been growing on the order of about anywhere from about 30 to almost 47%, which is what we grew last year. We expect we'll probably be in the 30% range this year in terms of growth.
Wonderful. Thank you, Steve. Larry, been in business for 21 years. Have you met your revenue target every year?
I have. It's really an odd thing, but I have never decreased in sales. And I've gone through 9/11. I've gone through recessions. I went through COVID. We've never had a decrease in sales in 21 years. With that said, I've never had the huge increases year over year. I've just had a steady growth through the time that I've been open. And in fact, the year that we're having this year is probably one of my bigger years. So it has been just awesome for me. And at this point in my career with my sign business, I'm not overly aggressive either. We're doing things right. We're maintaining our customer base, but I'm not aggressively going after new customers, and we're still increasing.
Wonderful. Thank you, Larry. Jack, your thoughts?
Well, Larry, if you did more, you wouldn't have time to play golf 3 days a week.
I know. I actually played pretty well this morning, by the way.
So would you agree, Larry, that the limit of the business is not the amount of business that's out there? There's plenty. It's not the competition. You can get past it. It's really your scalability and your desire to have more. Is that not the limit of the business? Is the owner's interest in having more?
Yeah, no, there's no question. I mean, if I wanted to, I could absolutely move this company so much further quicker, but I'm very comfortable. We do a good job. We have a lot of great customers, but I'm very satisfied with where we're at.
So the rest of my answer, David, is that limit of the business is you, of how you can scale it, build process procedures, and want to have it bigger. A lot of people, by the time they get to that $1 million in revenue, they're at a $250 income, more than they made in corporate life, and it's a plateau for lifestyle.
And any thoughts?
We've got others that are making a lot more than that, so it's a limit of you.
Thank you.
Just statistics, David. I don't know if you know this already, but our #1 Signworld owner does 40 million in gross sales annually. 40 million. We have another owner that does 6 million and claims to work 20 hours a week. So again, you can scale this to whatever level you want. You can back away as much as you want. Back to our largest owner that does 40 million. He has not been in his office. He has not shown up at the building in over 2 years. He never goes to the office. Now he talks to them on the phone every day, but he never goes in. So again, you can scale this to as big as you want. And like Larry, you can back away as much as you want, playing golf 3 days a week and so on. Not a lot of businesses you can have both, your cake and eat it too. Jeannie?
Very good. Thank you. All right, let's go to our next participant, Scott Powell. If you can take yourself off of mute, share where you're from and go ahead with your question today.
Sure, thanks. And thanks everybody for all the time that you're putting into this today and helping us get a little more educated here. I'm in the South Hills of Pittsburgh. Always been a Pennsylvania native, either Pittsburgh or Philadelphia. So just curious question of, you guys have all been in the business from 3 years to 20 plus years. How much of your business is recurring in the same customers versus actually organic growth and kind of one-off type projects or one-time type deals?
Very good. Let's start with Steve first. Steve, % of recurring business versus organic new.
Well, so just to kind of repeat, I've got a national customer, so I get a lot of, repeat business from that national customer all the time. And that's 50% at least of my business right now. And then, the balance of that is either new customers or I get a blend of new repeats or referrals. Some of the political campaigns that we support around the local area here, we get repeat business from those folks when they're running for re-election and stuff. So, or there's in the case of, more recent, somebody I've worked with before, he referred me to another person who's running for office and they, decided to do business with us. So, so I would say on the order of about 40% is new business from our marketing.
And when you say 40%
Okay, so-
new, sorry, Ken, did you have a question?
Well, I was going to probably ask the same question you is. I was a little confused. You said 50% is repeat from one customer, and
Right.
then you have repeat from many other customers.
From
So
some
if you add the two together, your total repeat business is 60, 70, 80%?
probably about 60%.
Okay.
And my add-on question to that is, out of the new business you have, how much is coming from the internet versus referrals?
100%.
100% internet or referrals? Okay,
Internet,
so
yeah.
main source. Okay, very good. All right, Kobe, let's go to you.
I estimate probably about 25% is repeat business, whether it's on quantity or dollar value. It varies. We're still growing so much, it just goes up and down all the time. But 20 to 25% is repeat, and 80% is new business, most of which comes from the internet. Maybe 10 to 20% of that comes from referrals. But that number's growing every month. So
Very good, thank you. Yeah. Awesome. Larry, how about you?
I'm probably 80 to 85% repeat business. It's year over year, it's the same customers coming back. And then like the example I gave when my biggest job that we've had this year, City of Fraser, we're doing $140,000 with them this year to redo their signs. So Fraser won't be in my top 10 next year. We've completed their whole city, but there's going to be another city, another school, or something that's going to replace them. But overall, what I have is about 80 to 85% repeat business. And the remainder is probably 75, 80% is coming through my internet.
Okay, So it is still a lead source. Very good. Jack?
You know, in the end, when I sold after 10 years, I had 15 customers that gave me about 80% of my business. I had several hundred occasional, but it was those that came back over and over again that really drive the business. So in your first few years in business, you're gonna have a lot of smaller projects, one-offs. You got to grow process, procedures, reputation. And that number of repeats is gonna keep growing and growing and narrowing down to having those that keep coming back over and over again.
Very good. Ken, any thoughts to add?
In year 2, 80% of my business was repeat from 5 customers.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, let's go to our next participant. Theo, if you can go ahead and take yourself off of mute, share where you're from, and go ahead with your question for today.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for allowing us to join this. Great information. Very new into this process and kind of in the start of the due diligence journey here. What did you decide to pay yourself, and when did you decide to do that?
Pay
What's the
yourself. Did I
question?
hear that correct, Theo?
Correct. Yeah.
When did you decide to pay yourself?
Yeah. What did you decide to pay yourself, and when did you decide to do that?
Okay, great question. So Larry, let's start with you. Thinking back to the very beginning, when did you decide to pay yourself?
I paid myself in the 5th month.
Okay, Kobe, how about you?
I think I took my first draw in the 9th month. It hasn't been consistent for main reason is I'm growing the business. So I'm reinvesting a lot of our income back in the business. I'm about to buy a bucket truck, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Yep, very good. Steve, how about you?
I started drawing in the 7th month.
Very good. Jack, your thoughts?
I was actually drawing money in by month 6. Most Signworld's going to tell you it's going to be later in the first year, average break even, cash on cash at 6 months. Some taking a little bit less, some taking a little bit more. Modest income year 1, better year 2, better year 3.
Okay, Ken?
I broke even cash on cash around the 3rd month, but I didn't take a paycheck till the 6th or 7th month because I wanted to build up a cash cushion afloat so that I wouldn't have to borrow money if I got a big job and I had to lay out money for materials ahead of time before I got paid. So I chose to build the cash cushion.
Very good, thank you. Okay, let's go to our next participant. Jared, if you can take yourself off of mute and share where you're from and give your first question for the group today.
Hello guys, Jared Trojak, also from the Houston area. I'm also in the beginning stages of this Signworld interest. I guess my first question would be, did y'all get any negative feedback or skepticism from your family or friends in the Signworld interest? If so, kind of what was that and how did you overcome it?
Larry, did you get told not to do it?
I didn't. You know, I had a lot of support from my family, and at the time I had a daughter that was in college, and my son had just gotten out of college and was starting his career. But I had support from my wife, my parents, everybody. They, you know, that was, I didn't need anybody's support, but they gave it to me.
Well, it's nice to have your wife's support.
That's right.
Very good. How about you, Steve? Anyone tell you not to do it? Any skepticism?
You know, initially, my wife was a little skeptical, and you know, I had to, you know, basically explain it to her and you know, go through it in the kind of details that Jack had gone through it with me. You know, I made some pro forma you know, projections of what I thought the business could do, and then she was convinced. So it wasn't a hard sell, and I didn't get anybody else in the family you know, giving me any guff about it. In fact, everybody was very supportive.
Very good. How about you, Kobe?
Well, my wife, Teresa, at first struggled a little because we both came from more of a professional background. And she's like, signs, what signs, you know? But in January of 2019, we went out to California to do a discovery day. And when we got on the plane to come home, she said, I'm sold.
So come to Discovery Day. That's your suggestion.
There you go.
Very good. Jack,
Worked
how about
for
you?
me.
You know, there's more signs in the world than there's people, but we never really think about who makes them. So the industry is a little bit under the radar. But Jane, when I told you I was going to open a sign company, what was your reaction?
Why a sign business?
Well, let me add one to that real quick. I told my dad I was going into the sign business, bless his soul, before he passed. And he said, signs? And I talked to him about a week later and he went, signs. He went around and looked around and realized everywhere you look, there's a sign. So, you know.
Absolutely. Jack, any further comments?
Just the best decision I ever made. So even though you might have some people question you, if you've done your homework, if you believe in it, they'll get it later. They'll understand as they start seeing your success.
Ken?
I left a high-paying business in San Francisco and moved to Honolulu. And everybody said I was nuts. So yeah, I got a lot of opposition.
Yeah, I think the only comment I'll add there, Jared, is it's not always what you're doing. It's also what the business gives you, right? It's the type of business being business to business. It's very involved in the community. There's a lot of other aspects of this business that becomes appealing besides just the manufacturing the sign. So great question. Okay, let's go to Alan. Alan, if you can take yourself off of mute and share where you're from and go ahead with your first question today.
Yeah, hi, Jeannie. Thank you and the panel for your time today. That's very useful information. I've kind of started conducting validation interviews, so it's all been great to speak with other owners as well and to attend Discovery Day as well. My question for the panel is thinking back to when you first opened your Signworld business, and I know for Larry that was a while back, but can you describe any challenges you encountered starting out and dealing with your first customers and projects?
No one has challenges in this business, Alan. Come on. All right, great question. Okay, Kobe, let's start with you as the newest owner. What were the challenges you had, whether it was getting customers or otherwise?
Well, I wake up every day wondering what are the challenges going to be today, because they are there every day and you just figure out how to do them. But, you know, early on, it was more about anxiety because you're entering a business you've never been in before. So every challenge, every customer is a new challenge. You know, as you're learning how to sell and make or acquire from vendors the various types of signs and doing all your studying and due diligence and learning about them, every new project was a challenge, you know. But once you've done one project of a certain type, you're like, oh, I can do that. And then those don't bother you anymore, right? And then you get the next new one that comes along that you've never done before, and you work your way through it and figure it out and talk to your other Signworld, you know, colleagues and ask them how they've done it. And everybody helps and you figure it out and then you move on to the next one. So, you know, every day is a challenge, but I wake up ready to go do it.
Very good. Steve, your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of have to echo Kobe's sentiments there because, you know, every day is a challenge. You're always, you know, you got to kind of approach things the way you approach life is you're always learning something until the day you die. And, you know, that's the way it is with owning your own business. There's always something you're going to be learning every doggone day. And I think you have to approach it with an open mind and that you're not going to know everything, you know, right off the bat. You're going to learn along the way. And that's why you surround yourself with good people to, you know, make sure that that you're able to be successful as well. So, you know, you don't just do this as you and everything's dependent on you. It's also the people that surround you and make things happen.
Thank you, Steve. Larry?
Well, I'm going to kind of repeat what the other guys said. You know, every job when you start is something that you've never done before. So you go out and you meet with a customer, you find out what they're looking to do, and you're driving back and you go, holy crap, how am I gonna do that? And you go back and you figure it out, you give them a quote, you do the job, and you're amazed at what you can do. The jobs get bigger, they get more complicated, and it's very satisfying that you find out, you know what, when you break it down to the each piece, it's not that difficult.
And so Larry, Kobe, and Steve, as you talk about those challenges, the fun part of the business is overcoming those challenges, right? And feeling really good about it. That's the fun of the business too, is all the learning you do. And yeah, absolutely. Very good. Jack, your thoughts?
Well, Larry, after 20 some years, do you know it all, or are you still learning every day now?
I do not know it all. And I probably forgot more than I know, but yeah, every single day there's something new that I'm learning. Absolutely.
So before I give you my answer, I'm going to start several slideshows. I'm going to go on the back room. There's no audio to them, but it's visually going to show you more about who we are. The first slideshow is going to show you some of our operations inside and out, so you can see how unique and different each one is built. The second one goes to what is a sign, not only what we can make in-house with the original equipment, what we're going to need to outsource, at least until we bring in heavier equipment, a couple years in business, and then showing some signs that you wouldn't even think of as signs, showing you the breadth of what we make. Third slideshow is going to go to the Wall of Fame, showing you some of the bigger projects Signworld Owners have done. I'll start that in just a minute here. You know, the beauty of the Signworld model is that it is custom manufacturing. So unlike some of the other options you're looking at that are very, very repetitive, yesterday looks like today, and today looks more like tomorrow, or the same as tomorrow. Where in here, you're having to recreate the wheel a little bit every day. So it attracts that individual that wants a little bit more variety to it, not the mundane of it. But a question for you, Alan. You were at last Discovery Day, so what can you share with the others here of how effective it was for you to be able to see us live face to face and be able to understand better who we are and what we do?
Yeah. No, thank you so much for the invite. No, I encourage all the prospective franchisees out there to consider attending Discovery Day. I mean, Jack, Jeannie, and the team, that Sheree, they do a great job of accommodations. I believe for all the out of towners to provide airfare and hotel, and it's just a great experience actually getting to tour. We toured 3 different facilities and getting to know the owners, asking questions that and getting a tour of their facility, learning about their operation was very beneficial. And then spending the afternoon at headquarters, learning about digital marketing, speaking with Terry about equipment. I wasn't able to attend the dinner, unfortunately, but a great event, and I highly encourage everybody to attend.
Very good. Ken, any extra thoughts to add about challenges starting the business?
No, just to ditto everybody else, that the daily challenges in this business, for the most part, are fun. It's a fun day.
Very good. Thank you, Ken. And Alan, thank you for that contribution about your experience.
Sure.
Let's go to our next participant, Renato. If you can go ahead and take yourself off of mute, share where you're from, and go ahead with your question today. Oh, did we lose Renato?
I think
I just noticed that. Okay, very good. All right, let's go to Stacy. Stacy, if you can take yourself off of mute and share where you're from and go ahead with the question.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Good afternoon. Just again, like everybody else, want to thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak, and I appreciate all your time you're dedicating to us. I had a few questions, but I think the first one I wanted to know is, so I've spoken with Gene, and one of the things that's unique about Signworld is scalability, but not just scalability, but the ability to kind of customize your own business. So for any of you, other than signs, has any of you added any other kind of service, like a digital service or social media design? Like, are there any other things you'll do other than signs?
Okay, let's go ahead and start with you first, Steve. And let's just add, if you don't have anything outside of the traditional sign business yourself, if you know of any other Signworld owners that may have added other aspects to their business.
I don't, and I don't.
And why would you say that is, Steve?
I'm fully consumed with growing this business, and it's a fully occupying job at the moment, and I'm very satisfied with the kind of things that we're doing and and the growth that we've had and where we're heading. So I've just not found the need to add, other elements to the business right now.
Very good. Thank you, Steve. Larry, 20 plus years in business. Have you ever added other aspects to your business outside of the sign industry?
Nope, we are strictly signs, but there's a side piece of that that we have, and it's kind of interesting. It's just a relationship that you build with your customers. We have customers that come to us and ask us questions about their business, how we would do it, or could we help them with something. So we have that relationship. We don't get paid for it, but it's when you're close with your customer and they do lean on you and ask for your opinion and advice on how they should do things.
That's great. That's really when they become more than just a customer, right? It's a true business partnership with you, with your clients. Very good. How about you, Kobe? Only 3 years in business. Any side attributes to your operation and or intentions?
Well, not yet, only one thing at a time, but once I've got this business, the sign business, stabilized and operating on a profit consistently that I can be living comfortably, my son and I have some plans to expand a branding and design division, which will be complementary to the sign company. He's off in the corporate world doing marketing these days, and so I want him to stay there, learn the ropes, get comfortable, and then bring his knowledge back to our company in a few years. And then eventually, when all of that's said and done, and I don't know, 7 or 8 years, I'd like to just back off and do the business type consulting that I think, I don't know if it was Larry or Steve was talking about, where, I have a lot of people that ask me, this is the second business I've started, and they ask me for my advice. A lot of customers ask me, especially new businesses that are starting up. So my long-term vision is, after all of that's going and running, is that I'll probably just do business consulting and advising, which is also business development for our business.
Love it. Thank you, Kobe. Jack?
There are a few Signworld owners that have done some things extra, but first off, realize that sign business is bigger than you ever need to go sideways. It's a $50 billion industry. We have some that have bought materials in bulk and are reselling plastics to others. Some that are selling web development services and other web marketing services. Some will not necessarily go out and look for print customers, but the customer is ordering signs and they need some printing done, business cards, letterhead, things. They'll subcontract that from a printing company. Same with uniforms, where you might not want to sell uniforms, but if you're doing all the fleet of vehicles, they would need uniforms as well. They might add that as a complimentary sale in addition to it, or they add specialty things, coffee mugs, the pens, golf balls.
Very good. Ken, any comments?
I never did anything but signs, but to add on to Jack's list, we did have a Signworld owner who did a very, very good job at brewing beer in the back end. Although he never sold it, but he did give it a lot of it away.
If I remember right, he probably has a lot of tenure in his employees too, right?
He had a great team working for him.
Very good, very good. Okay, well, that's the first round of questions. We do have about 20 more minutes. We have time for some more. I'll just go back in order, and if you have a second question, go ahead and share it. David Johnson, do you have a second question for the group?
I shouldn't have signed on so early, I think.
That's okay. If you don't have one, we can go to the next person.
I might, Jeannie, if I can reserve that for a few minutes, let me think about it. I was just kind of listening to the answers there and not really thinking up a new question. So
no problem. No problem. Scott Powell, do you have an extra question for the group today?
I guess it's more a confirmation. I guess from listening to all of you guys, it sounds like you have a pretty good work-life balance at this point.
So let's ask the question. Steve, would you believe you have a good work-life balance, and think about it now as well as when you first started, and then back to the corporate world before you got here?
Well, the corporate world before I got here, I was in an airplane every week. flying all over the country, sometimes, outside of the country. Being more grounded here locally. I mean, I do travel from time to time, but not to the level that I used to in the corporate world. It's a good life right now.
Very good. How about you, Kobe? Oh, Kobe might be, I know he had a phone battery. He might be logging back in on his iPad or iPhone. Let's go to Larry. I know you got a work-life balance because you go to golf 3 times a week. I don't know how you get better than that.
I've got real good work-life balance, believe me. I do golf 3 days a week, but vacations, I take lots of vacations. I start out in February, I go to Punta Cana. In March, I'm going down to Arizona. Then in the summer, we go up to a resort up in northern Michigan for a week. I take a week and do a fly-in fishing trip in Canada. We do a fall trip. I've got all the holidays off. So yeah, I've got a pretty nice lifestyle.
Larry, I want to be like you when I grow up. Sounds fantastic. I do see we got
Jeannie,
Kobe
I'm
back.
back with you, I think. Yeah. Can you hear me?
We sure can. So the question, in case you missed it, was talking about your work-life balance. Has it improved over the years as you've done the sign business? Do you feel like it's a good work-life balance? And also compare it to your former careers.
Yeah, no, I've put an emphasis on work-life balance because I believe in working hard and playing hard. And after I hired my first salesperson on our staff, it made it so much nicer to be able to travel. My wife and I have family all over the country, and so I can travel and work remotely. I was talking to Mike Fetter at Peachtree City Filmcraft from Tucson, Arizona a few weeks ago. And, I've been to Texas a few times, and so, yeah, I can travel, I can work remotely if I need to or not. It's gotten better. I've gotten to the point now, I took advice from one of the mentors in the webinars you were sponsoring earlier this year, Jeannie, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I work home-based from home and branch out from there. I don't even go into the shop much on Tuesdays and Thursdays unless they need me for something. And I use it for customer visits and spending more time working on the business because I can get more done from home working on the business than I can. It seems like when I'm in the shop, everybody seems to think they need to know what I think about something. And so I'm trying to encourage them to think more on their own by not being there for all the easy answers. So.
Perfect. Thank you, Kobe. Jack, any thoughts to add?
Knowing that we're all going to put a small business can take as many hours as you can give it. So you've got to be willing to delegate. I think it's also important to realize this is a Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 business. The extra hours you put in are on your own inertia to say, I want more. So it's having something that you can limit yourself. I was on Little League field at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 days a week. Boys teams, so you can schedule your life to how you want to do it.
Ken, any thoughts?
I decided from day one to run the business and not let the business run me. That's what you call customer control. And if you do that right, I was home for dinner every night of the week, and I almost never worked on the weekends. Customer control.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, let's go to our next guest to see if you have a second question. Theo, if you have a second question, please take yourself off of mute and go ahead with it.
I don't have a second question, Jeannie. Thanks.
That's okay. All right, very good. Let's go to Jared. Jared, do you have a second question for the group today?
Yes, ma'am, I do. What are some of the things you do to keep your work environment enjoyable and employees happy to work for you?
Very good question. Culture is something we talk about a lot in our operations. Kobe, what do you do in your operation to make it a pleasant experience and environment for your employees?
Well, first off, it comes in choosing your employees. So I interview everyone that comes to work for us. My head designer, assistant manager, Casper, interviews everyone that comes to work for us. And then I take them back in the shop and let them stand around and talk to each other and ask questions, because after that interview is over, I asked my staff what they think about the people we've interviewed, because it's got to be a good fit. Everybody's got to be comfortable. So that's my first thing. And then the second thing is I make sure, like Ken was talking about, that we make it an 8 to 5, 5-day-a-week business. And I try to let people leave early whenever they can. And I make allowances for some of my front office folks to be able to work remotely if they're sick, to try to provide those kinds of things. And then we do, like, we just went to a baseball game, even though it's the worst baseball team in the country right now. We went to a Nats game a few weeks ago. So, we try to get out and enjoy ourselves. And, I think that's very important.
Love it. Nothing that a hot dog and a beer at a ballpark can't solve. Fantastic.
Exactly.
Steve, how about you?
Well, we, believe it or not, we set up a time at least once a month to do a barbecue here at the shop and invite family as well as employees to participate, and we even invite our neighbors. So we try to break it up and not be too serious about things, and but recognize that we're running a business too, and there's no reason why we can't have fun running the business. So like if we go out on a project and we do we're out there all day and stuff, I'll go out of my way to make sure that everybody's got lunch and stuff, and make sure that everybody's got plenty of water, and that things are taken care of as far as the employees are concerned, so they know that I care about them, and that they appreciate that somebody's thinking about them other than just trying to whip them and make sure that they get the job done and stuff. So we try to keep it fun and engaging, and we laugh it up a little bit, keep things a little bit light, and try to have some fun while we're doing it.
Very good. Larry, how about you?
Yeah, we try to keep it a fun environment. We're all working hard. There's a lot of things going on. We're juggling a lot of projects, but you've got to keep it fun. You've got to let everybody enjoy what they're doing. And we do, we have a grill in the back, and we do our cookouts every month. But I think more than anything, I think my employees know how much I respect them. I spend a lot of time, and I know I say about the vacations and the golf and everything, but I am here a lot. And when I'm here, I'm not sitting in my office very much. I'm out wandering the floor. I'm doing circles in our building, and I'm talking to everybody as they're working. If they're out doing installations, I go out and visit them when they're doing the installations to talk to them and the customer. So it's a good, healthy work environment. And as I said, I trust my employees, and they know I trust them.
Sorry, Jack, go ahead.
I didn't have anybody that I called an employee. They were a staff and a team. They worked with me. They didn't work for me, and they knew it, and I respected their talents, and they were in charge of their departments. We had a sales goal one year that we hit, and closed the operation down Thursday, Friday, and took all of them and their spouses to Cabo for the weekend. And another year where we took them on a 4-day cruise. So it's letting them know that you can't get your economic goal without their help, and working together, not for.
Thank you, Jack. Ken, any thoughts?
Pizza twice a week. Birthday parties with the families of everybody.
Very good.
Oh.
Sorry, did you have more to add? Okay. Very good. Okay, let's go to Alan. Alan, if you have a second question, go ahead and take yourself off mute and go ahead with it.
Yeah, just in speaking to other owners through the validation interviews, they always spoke highly of the mastermind group as being one of the best resources offered to them. I was wondering if the owners on the panel are still would agree that it's a valuable resource, and are they still actively engaged and participating on a weekly basis?
Great question, Alan. Larry, 21 years. Are you still involved in a mastermind group?
I'm not.
Do you know a lot of friends in the Signworld community you can call at any given time though?
I talk to Signworld owners all the time. Yeah, I do talk to them. Absolutely.
When did you stop being involved in a mastermind group? Do you recall?
Yeah, I've never been in a mastermind.
Okay, there you go. All right, well, let's go to Steve. Steve, talk about your experience.
So we have a mastermind group. I still participate in that, and you know, we do share experiences and knowledge. You know, when we go and do different projects and stuff like that, being able to kind of share our experiences, positive or negative, and what we learned from it. Sometimes we learn things from other folks that have done similar kind of jobs and have better successes than sometimes we do. So it's a learning experience, and it's an opportunity to share experiences between owners, and you know, kind of have to realize too that sometimes apples and apples are not really comparative. You know, friend of mine does work in Chicago. His environment is completely different than what I experienced in the Denver area. His is much more restrictive in terms of permitting and, you know, how he has to be able to get authorizations to put a sign up, whereas I don't have those same kind of restrictions here in Colorado. So you kind of have to, you know, use a little bit of discernment when you talk to folks and kind of understand what they're dealing with locally compared to what you're dealing with. But overall, very informative.
Very good. I do believe we've lost Kobe officially. I think his battery has died. So unfortunately, I don't think he's logging back in. Oh, I spoke
No, he's
too
back.
soon.
He's back.
Oh, Kobe,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
coming in
sorry.
hot.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, Kobe, the question was, are you involved in a mastermind group? And if so, share a little bit about your experience and how you find those to be valuable.
Yeah, I am. I do have a mastermind group. We meet every other Friday, and I find them very valuable because, you know, it's a bi-weekly opportunity for us to all share some of those challenges that we're dealing with and discuss how we're dealing with them, so that everybody can learn from everyone else's experience, right? And so, and we try to, and the way we operate is we encourage people to bring challenges. That's kind of what we focus on, is bring a challenge to the meeting, and let's all talk about it and put our heads together and learn from it.
Very good. Thank you, Kobe. Jack, any thoughts to add?
You know, it's just one of the things that we do to help build a community of Signworld owners, to know they're not out there alone. Share ideas, best practices. We've got a number of these groups been around. Some have been around for years. They each a little bit different in how they structure it. Some share financials, others prefer not to. Just one of the best things that we do.
Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong. How many mastermind groups do we have today? About 20, trying to remember.
About 22 active, and then like three are give or take.
So 22 active groups. So well over 150 owners are probably involved. Yeah. And we also have mastermind groups for employees, lead employees of operations that would like to connect with other operations within the Signworld community. It's something we started this last year. So again, we do believe the mastermind groups are very positive. Ken, any other comments to add about mastermind?
I just wanted to jump to Larry Foster's defense when he said he's never been in a mastermind group. That first of all, Larry was probably in business 10 years before we even started the mastermind group. So he was already the mastermind at that point.
That's me.
And number two is, we probably never ever invited him to join a mastermind group because he was so well down the road. So that's why I think
I was invited.
Were you?
Yeah.
Well, very good. Okay, let's go to our last participant. We still got 5 minutes left. Stacy, let's see, if you can take yourself off of mute, and if you have a question, let us go ahead with it, please.
How do you set your revenue standards? What are the guidelines for that?
Your revenue standards, meaning your revenue, your sales targets, or are you talking like your pricing standards?
Targets and pricing standards.
So pricing, how much you price a project?
Yes.
Okay. So let's start with you, Kobe, as the newest owner. How did you set up your pricing? What guidelines did you use?
It's a built from the ground up pricing through Corebridge. We have all our parts that we use in there. And if it's not one that's in there, then we add it in ad hoc as we go. But, you know, I used Ken's pricing guidelines as a sanity check to start with, along with Signcraft Magazine's pricing guide, and just started developing experience from there. And so we build almost all of our, if it's not a vended product from another manufacturer, all of our pricing is built at the part level in Corebridge. And then every once in a while, I do a sanity check just to make sure we're keeping up with the market. So.
Very good. How about you, Steve?
Well, you know, trial and error initially. You know, we tried to gather as much information as we could from different sources to, you know, identify what the market would bear. And, you know, through our masterminds group, I kind of find too that what I'm able to sell from a margin standpoint is slightly different from other locales. So, you know, being able to exchange information, you know, between other owners has also been helpful. So sometimes it's reaffirming, sometimes I'm kind of setting the pace, sometimes I'm, you know, readjusting based on what feedback I get. You know, my initial kind of setting the pricing was a little bit of trial and error, because we would, you know, we would price things a certain way, and then we'd find whether the market would sustain that or not. And, you know, sometimes we found we left money on the table, and sometimes we found that, you know, we wouldn't win the business. So we made adjustments based on that kind of, you know, real feedback.
Very good. Thank you, Steve. Larry?
I'm a little bit different. When I started, there was no pricing system. We had a notebook. So if you had an aluminum sign, you went to the tab that said aluminum. And we had a wood tab. We had a lot of different tabs. But I did purchase there was a software company through Signworld called Sirius Software, and we still use them today. It's not quite as friendly as Corebridge, but all of our basic pricing included in the Sirius software. You get into the more difficult projects, you're doing cost plus type pricing. But regardless of where the prices come from, it all goes into your software program so that you have got that. You know what you charge the customers and what your margins are and all the marketing stuff that goes in there. So it's still, even though it's an old system, it's still robust.
Very good. Thank you, Larry. Jack?
The current system we're using now is Corebridge, which several years ago bought out the Sirius company that that Larry works with. You'll go to, we'll give you the list of the main materials to use. You'll go to the suppliers we have on our roster to get the current prices on those materials, to build a database in your computer so that you can go and tell the computer you're going to make a sign of this size and this material, and it'll tell you not only how much the materials will cost, but the estimated time to take to make it. And you'll start with that. It's going to be industry standard pricing, and then, as Steve alluded to, you're going to customize it to your market and learn when you're underpriced, when you're overpriced, to gain the most margin you have. You're also going to look at projects on time material and how to price from that. You're also going to look at it on perceived value. So it's a complicated mix. You're going to go to other Signworld owners and get their advice on how they would price a certain project. So we've all managed to work through it, and over time, you understand where your pricing is.
Very good. Ken, any extra comments on that one?
Both Jack and I teach class every week, and pricing comes up quite a bit and is often a main part of that. In addition to that, there's at least one or two, maybe sometimes three other 1-hour Zoom classes that we put on, where pricing is, training is done usually by senior owners in their specialty area. So we'll have a Zoom event for vehicle pricing graphics. We'll have another one for monument signs, et cetera, et cetera. So there's lots and lots and lots of pricing training done every single week on an ongoing basis.
Cool.
Very, very good. Thank you so much. Well, we are at the top of the hour, and I do want to be mindful of our owners' time today, as you've graciously given us. We really appreciate it. Kobe, appreciate you sticking in there with your phone battery and iPad issues. But Larry, Steve, and Kobe, thank you so very much. We really do appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
To our participants, we appreciate you logging in today and your interest in learning more about Signworld. We look forward to those future conversations to continue this discovery process to see if this is the right fit for you going forward. And with that, we'll conclude our call today. Thank you all for joining us.